Hello, my name's Tim. Our story today is one of the first ghost stories ever written. A tale so terrifying it could turn your hair white. This isn't a story to listen to alone, but if you're feeling brave, let's begin. We find ourselves at a dinner party one cold Christmas Eve, as the guests gather around the fireplace telling ghost stories. In a low voice, one guest describes a young and idealistic governess, a kind of old-fashioned home tutor, whose name he does not recall. One day, the governess meets a mysterious, well-turned-out man who persuades her to take up a job looking after his niece and nephew at Bly, a secluded country house, after the previous governess died. The man himself is to stay in London, and strict orders are given that he is never to be contacted. It all sounds a bit strange, doesn't it? And as we'll see, things soon take a turn for the worse. Nervously, the governess arrives at Bly, where she meets the housekeeper, Mrs. Gross, and the niece, Flora. Despite her worries, Flora turns out to be a beautiful and polite girl. With her charming nature, Flora soon has the governess wrapped around her little finger. But the next day there's a turn-up for the books, when news arrives that the nephew, Miles, has been expelled from school. What did he do? No one knows, but the headmaster is adamant the boy will never be allowed back. When Miles arrives, he's as handsome and charming as his sister. Both children show an inquisitive turn of mind and learn their lessons perfectly. Yet the governess can't shake the feeling that there's something not quite right about these perfect children. In the garden one evening, she turns around to see a strange man in a tower. Later, the man's ghostly face appears at the window, and, frightened, the governess confides in Mrs. Gross, who identifies him as Peter Quint, a former servant, who is now dead. In class the next day, the governess is frightened again by a ghostly female figure, who she senses means harm. Does Flora see the ghost too? If so, the girl turns a blind eye to the evil figure, who, the governess discovers, resembles Miss Jessel, her dead predecessor. Now things really turn nasty. That evening, a noise disturbs the governess. Rushing upstairs to see what's wrong, Flora goes missing. On the lawn outside, the girl is staring up at the window, and a shadowy boy is seen running away. Turning around, the governess screams as once again the ghost of Peter Quint appears. By now the governess's nerves are fraying, and she has nowhere to turn. Slowly the children turn against her. She believes there is a connection between these innocent children and the ghosts, but what? Walking to church that Sunday, Miles demands to return to school and insists the governess write a letter to his uncle. Upset, she runs to the classroom, only to find the ghostly Miss Jessel sitting at her desk. The governess breaks down, crying uncontrollably and vowing to leave the house forever. That night, the governess tosses and turns in bed, trying to sleep. Is she seeing things, or are there really ghosts? In the morning, Flora and Mrs. Gross leave Bly for London to meet the uncle, unaware that Miles has intercepted and burned the governess's letter. She confronts the boy, asking why he was expelled from school. He confesses only to burning the letter, and as the governess looks around in horror to see the ghostly, grinning face of Peter Quint, Miles cries out one last time, then falls down, dead. We end with many unanswered questions. Who was the mysterious uncle? Were the ghosts harming the children, or did they only exist in the governess's imagination? But one thing I do know is the tingle creeping up my spine. I hope you weren't too frightened, and you'll join me again for another story soon.